Am I the a-hole for refusing to let my ex's kid come with us to Disney? Alright, so I have a son 13 male, with my ex-husband. We got divorced because he was having an emotional affair which turned physical, and had a kid with the AP, and is a single dad ATM as the AP left. My son goes over to his house on weekends, and sometimes his kid comes over to my house because my son and him are somewhat friends, and I don't really mind. The problem now is that I'm planning on taking me and my son to Disney as I've been saving it up for him as I believe he should go there at least once in his life to experience it, as well as him having good grades for the whole semester. I believe that my son must have told his half-brother, as my ex-husband called me and asked me what day I'm planning to leave and am I driving or him. I was confused initially, but I realized what he was talking about, and told him that it was just gonna be a trip for me and my son. He started to get mad and accused me of favoring my son over his half-sibling and trying to be petty for his past actions, and such, and told me I should at least offered for his son to go too. I told him no, as I wasn't gonna pay for another plane ticket and other supplies, and that if his son wanted to go, he needed to pay for himself. I hanged up before he could say anything else. Now my son says that his dad was disappointed about my decision and to go try to change my mind so his half-sibling could have fun too and some other remarks. My ex and a few of my friends who heard about the situation say I'm TA for not letting his brother go on the trip as well and that I'm being selfish and petty, so I'm starting to reconsider everything and just relenting, so I wanted an outside opinion. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. As you should, that isn't your child in any sense. You should stop allowing the boy over to your house to be honest. If your son wants to see his brother he can see him at his dad's house. Your ex-husband is using that child to manipulate you. Am I the a-hole for expecting my husband to pay for the tools my daughter used for the handmade necklace he threw out? My husband and I have disagreements from time to time. Nothing major, just normal stuff. He has a habit of throwing out something of mine as a way to teach me a lesson whenever he's upset with me after an argument. This time he threw out the handmade necklace my daughter, 13, made for me herself on Mother's Day. The argument was about him wanting to hang out with his buddies on the day of my mom's surgery. I wanted him to stay home and be with our daughter but he refused. Yesterday I found out he threw out the necklace and after he admitted to what he did, I went off on him and also told him that this necklace was special to me and that my daughter spent so much time and effort to make it. She comforted me, then told me she'd make an identical one for me if I buy her the tools. I went to my husband and told him I was expecting him to cough up the money to pay for the tools so my daughter could make me a similar necklace. He laughed and said that I was delusional to expect him to pay when I haven't even apologized for my part of the argument, but I felt like I had nothing to apologize for and that yes, he should stay home for a family emergency. He said, why don't you have one of your friends come stay with Chloe? Oh yes, you don't have any. This pissed me off, but he said he wouldn't pay, but I told him that our daughter knew what he did, which set him off, saying I was trying to turn our daughter against him and brainwash her into thinking he's the bad guy in this scenario. I told him I'm still expecting him to pay, but now he's saying that I'm ganging up on him with our daughter. This is abusive behavior. You are adults, there should not be any punishment for disagreements. That is a huge red flag. Suggesting you have no friends and are isolated as a joke or dig is also a big red flag. This is not a relationship I would remain in. Your 13-year-old daughter had to comfort you because your husband punishes you by throwing away things. Are you reading what you're writing? The only victim here is your daughter. Why do you both have her entrenched in the middle of this disgusting childish fight? Everyone sucks here. Am I the a-hole for refusing to show proof that the car is mine and embarrassing a guy in front of the police officer? For some context, my 20 male, mom, 38 female, married my stepdad, 35 male, 10 years ago. They had my brother, 8 male, Scott. I see my stepdad as my father and his family as my paternal family, so I'll refer to him as dad and my step-granddad as gran. My dad has a GTR that my gran gave him a few years ago. That car is sick as frick. He also has a normal car that he drives to work, so the GTR is more for fun and show off. My bro and I love that car and my dad lets me drive it whenever I want. He even added me to the insurance when I turned 19 because I use the car almost every day until I was able to buy my own. Last week I noticed Scott a bit sad and he said that some kids were bullying him. Our parents went to his school to talk to the principal and the problem is somewhat fixed, but he was still bummed, so I decided to surprise him yesterday by picking him up in our dad's car. I parked the car and got out to wait for him. I was sitting in the trunk when a guy approached me and said that I shouldn't sit in other people's car. I laughed it off and said that it was mine, so it wasn't a problem. I must admit that I do look younger than 20, so he might have mistaken me for a high schooler and didn't believe me. He said that the car couldn't be mine and that I should go down before the owner got back. I said that it was my car again and he got mad and said, "Look son, this isn't your car, get down, I'll even take a picture or two of you with it." I was getting nervous, and when I get nervous I tend to laugh, so he thought I was mocking him and yelled at me to get down, that if the car belonged to me to show him proof. Then he yelled that I was trying to steal the car. I asked him to leave me alone because I was waiting for my brother and he did moved a few meters, but then I noticed that he was making a call and it turned out that he called the police on me. My brother was getting out at the same time. He was really happy to see me there in our dad's car and ran to hug me. I tried to pick him up to get him in, but the guy stopped me. I opened the door. It was obvious that the car was mine at that point. Either way, the police came and asked the normal questions. I explained them that it was my dad's car, and the guy said, "Ja. I knew it wasn't yours." I showed them proof, my license, my dad's papers, the insurance paper with my name on it, and even a text with my dad where I said, "Hey, I'm gonna pick up Scott in the car," and he only answered with an okay. I offered to call him so they could ask him themselves, but they said there was no need. The police let me leave and scolded the other guy. Before driving off, the guy called me an a-hole because I could have just shown him all of that, but I preferred to be a PP. Not the a-hole. He had no right to do what he did, just a nosy parker. And why would you show him proof it's your car? He should have just minded his own business. It probably would have been less of a hassle for you to have simply flashed your keys or hit the button to lock/unlock the car to prove that you were the one driving it and that it was your car. But I like this outcome better anyway. Dude was being rude and nosy and deserved to get told off by the police for being a dumbass. Am I the a-hole for ignoring my neighbors and their homeowners association group? I live in a cottage that I inherited after my grandfather passed away 3 years ago. The cottage is one of the oldest homes in the area, and unlike my neighbors, I am not a member of the homeowners association. The cottage itself is a waterfront one in which I have a small grass yard that turns into a beach on the lake. I never had a problem until recently over a seaplane and buoys. Due to having a private pilot's license and being really fortunate, I own a Piper Super Cub on floats. When I am not flying, the plane is either tied to my dock or is pulled up onto the beach and strapped down when the weather is bad. A month ago I decided to make some new additions to my property. These additions were 2 lines of buoys at the edge of my property with signs on each. The buoys extend 15 feet past my dock and are still technically on my property. The signs themselves are ones that I got custom made, warning about prop wash. I decided to add the buoys and signs because whenever I take my seaplane out, there are sometimes boaters/kayakers who will stop to watch me leave. Normally this is not an issue if they keep their distance, however recently they have been getting too close for comfort. With the addition of the buoys, I can keep a 100 by 300 feet safety rectangle. This makes it so that at the bare minimum I will always have around 100 feet off of each wing of safe space. Additionally, it prevents people from cutting me off when I come to dock or park on the beach. About a week and a half ago I got a letter from the Homeowners Association. The Homeowners Association is demanding I move my plane to a local seaplane base as well as remove my buoys and signs. In response, I wrote them a letter explaining the reasons behind having the buoys and told them I have no intention of changing anything. About 2 days later I got an angry visitor who was an Homeowners Association member. I told her that if she or the Homeowners Association comes onto my property again, they will get arrested for trespassing. Before leaving, she used some very colorful words and called me an a-hole. Not the a-hole. Yet another Homeowners Association thinking they can flex on their neighbors. Screw them. I'm going to say you're the a-hole. Your plane probably dominates use of the lake. You're getting a lot of not the a-holes, but if any of these people were your neighbors, they definitely think differently. I gotta be honest, as much as I detest homeowners associations, I can see their point. I wouldn't want the noise and unsightliness of what you describe if I was a neighbor. Hereabouts property rights only extend to the shore. Am I the a-hole for initiating a report that threw my son's entire school into chaos? I have a kindergarten-aged son, Jay. Jay's birthday was in early February, and when I asked him what he wanted for a birthday present, he said he didn't want to go to school anymore and if he could stop. I had thought he enjoyed going to school. He hadn't given the usual kindergartner tantrums or anything, and he told me that there was a kid next to him who made stinky in his pants and he couldn't handle the smell anymore. Well, I called his teacher about it, who told me that she wasn't allowed to help toilet train the kids and could only call for an aide to clean up the other boy and take him to the bathroom. And she couldn't even move Jay somewhere else in the room because there was a seating arrangement and that was Jay's place in it. I was less than impressed with her willingness to do nothing about it, told in this almost bored tone I struggled to convey in writing, so I called the principal next. All he did was confirm that teachers are not allowed to take students to the bathrooms, and that while there was no school-wide seating policy, teachers did have the power to seat the students in their room however they saw fit, and if my son's teacher wanted grid rows of kids in alphabetical order, that was her business. He seemed honestly baffled by why I didn't want my child sitting next to another kid who regularly shat himself. I was, to put it bluntly, quite angry at this point, and retained an attorney to help me discuss my options and see what pressure we could apply to the school. My lawyer got in touch with the county's education department or whatever it's called, and we're making plans to move Jay to a different school for the next year. But there was an announcement that the principal of the current school is being let go. There's some ad hoc executive council running the school now, and everything's in chaos. They're also firing a bunch of the teachers, and apparently the local teachers union is talking about taking action, although they have not done it yet. I wanted Jay out of the situation. But looking back, I could have just changed his school. Now it looks like I took a giant wrecking ball to the school, and possibly impacted literally hundreds of other students' education. Am I the a-hole? This got way out of control. Not the a-hole. Imagine being a little kid stuck sitting in his own mess until an aide can come to take him out. All the other kids know about his problem and don't want to be near him. If that child has a medical situation, it needs to be addressed. If it's a behavioral situation, it needs to be addressed. The school isn't imploding because you wanted your kid's seat moved. It's imploding because as soon as high-level people started looking closely at the school, they started finding big problems. Revealing problems that already exist is not the same as creating them. You got an attorney because a 5-year-old still poops his pants? Yeah, you're the a-hole.